Just hanging out here, a little bored, feeling introverted, hanging out under a nice heated blanket on a cold day because I'm in Wisconsin and it's cold and it's snowy and kind of stuck inside right now. Morgan is off on her mystery weekend still. I still haven't quite figured out what she's doing, but I will. But I wanted to chat if anyone's up for it. So if you want to talk, I would love to. So just tell me what you want to talk about. Give me a subject. Let's talk. It's about a new show. I may not have seen it, but I'm trying to catch up on a lot of stuff, especially horror related stuff and shows like that. My dog's barking. But I did watch Wednesday. I'm trying to think of what else I've been watching lately that is interesting. I've been watching some older stuff. I'm rewatching Squid Game, which I love, and I can't wait for the second season. I know I shouldn't rewatch things when I have things to actually watch, but it's how it goes sometimes, I guess. The other thing I got on my mind is Julian Sands. I've been thinking a lot about him. I thoughts go to him every day. He's still missing. I check for updates every morning just to see if he's been found or if there's been any sign of him. So I'm really concerned about Julian Sands. Obviously, I think he's a great actor, and I used to live right below Mount Baldy in the San Bernardino Mountains where he disappeared. So I saw the mountain every day. And so when I think about it, that's what comes to mind is that view of the mountain and how sad it is that he is out there somewhere. And I haven't given up hope that he is alive because I've been reading that he was an extremely experienced hiker. And there's a possibility, knowing that he was looking at the forecast of a storm, I'm sure he checked the forecast, that maybe he prepared and he had brought enough stuff and he's just holed up somewhere. But I am thankful that they haven't stopped looking. They've now moved it to just an air search, but they're still looking for him. And I really, really hope that he is found soon. So, Julian Sands, really hope you're okay. I hope you're found soon. And I know the longer it goes, the less likely there will be a good outcome. But as always, I'm just really, really hoping that that's what happens. And in this case, we have a good outcome. Another thing, let's see if anyone wants to talk about. I am totally up for topics. I'm just bored here. So, yeah, if you have a topic you want to bring up, let's talk about it. Otherwise, I do have some, where is it? I have some of the correspondence I did with serial killers. So I can't show all of it because obviously there's identifying information in it for me, which is not smart to put online. But let me see if there's some stuff I can show you. I have a huge binder of letters from serial killers and other people like that, and some very interesting things, like this one. This is a card that was sent to me by, okay, so I wish I knew how to pronounce his name correctly. I'm just going to make a guess on it. Oh, where is it? Robin Gecht. Gecht? That's how I'd pronounce it if I was German, which I kind of am. Gecht. Anyway, he was part of the Chicago Ripper crew. Really scary guy. Really horrible things he did. It was, reading his case was so messed up. And then I talked to him and he seemed like a totally personable, sweet, nice guy. And that was so weird to me that he can do all these horrible things and like really sick, twisted things, especially to women, and then talk to me like a totally normal, nice person and send me some beautiful artwork that he made, this beautiful card. And let's see. That's the inside of it. So I just thought that was really interesting. He was one of the more interesting people I talked to, and he wrote a lot. So I would send him a letter, and he would send so much stuff back. And that's actually why I stopped talking to serial killers at the time. Not that I didn't like it, but I ended up writing to so many, and then it took so long to get back to everyone to address questions. And I just got overwhelmed. I was going through a tough time in my life and just couldn't keep it up. So I have a lot of letters from him. I want to share more of this stuff at some point on some of the things that were sent, but I'll try to find some of the artwork right now. Like I said, it's still leaving out identifying information and some stuff, but I want to share at some point. I can at least cover parts of the letters I don't want to show and show other parts that I think are interesting to people. Sort of redacted view of it. Let's see, who else do I have? There was people that would just type everything out, which was interesting. And then there was people that would handwrite stuff. Okay. This guy. Let me get this out of here. So I have a lot of things to say about this guy. I need to read back through the stuff he sent me, but I made a little sheet for all the different people. But Keith Jesperson, the happy face killer, that's him and some of his victims. So I don't want to glorify the person. I want to also acknowledge the people that he killed and that they have a life and they had interests, and so I don't want to leave them out. Keith Jesperson, happy face killer, because he would leave happy faces around, and he was the single most arrogant person I have ever corresponded with in my entire life. So let's see. Yeah, he sent me this. It said, Keith Jesperson, car bike show, OSP yard. Something, I can't read this, the thing under it, and then it says summer 2013. But I think that's when he sent it to me. So this was a long time ago that I was writing to people, but I never really shared these with anybody, and I kind of wanted to do so. Let's see. So what made him so arrogant? There's a lot of things, and he wrote me several letters. I have a lot of stuff to go through, but what I really remember, and I haven't read through these letters in years, what really stuck out to me was the way he talked about things. So if you're just joining me, I'm talking about the serial killer Keith Jesperson. I wrote to him when he was years ago from jail, and he was a happy face killer, and he was so arrogant. Like, I know in one of his letters, I remember him saying, "Oh, don't go falling in love with me." And I'm thinking, no chance. Yeah, and I know it happens. There are those people that fall in love with serial killers, but that definitely is not me. I am firmly on the side of the victims here. I have an intellectual interest in serial killers. I don't wish any human being harm. I think every human being is a worthwhile person, but I just am not about to fall in love with a serial killer. I cannot look past the horrible things that they have done, even if he presented himself as a nice person, which, to be quite honest, he really did not. Just because he was so arrogant, and I thought he was sort of an interesting person to talk to, but he didn't really talk too much. I don't know. I could tell that he was one of those people that a lot of people write to, or a lot of people have written to, because he was kind of like, okay, this is what people want from me. And I felt like he was playing to that audience. But the other big thing was, like, pretty much, I think every letter he wrote to me, he would put a giant, like, he would trace his hand on there. Fine, okay, he has big hands. Yes, I get it. But if you want to see, let me show you. And I'll show you in comparison to my hand too. So this is one of his letters he wrote me. This is my hand. That's his hand. Yes, he has big hands. but I don't need to see it every time. Like, okay, yes, I get it. You have big hands. Are you proud of that? Like, it must be a thing for him to do, like always trace his hand. But let's see if it's in this one. Oh, there's a letter without it. That's remarkable. Maybe it was just the first couple that he did. Yeah, and please, if you have a topic you want to talk about besides serial killers, I'd love to. I'm just bored, cooped up inside with all the snow here in Wisconsin, nowhere really to go or nothing to do. So I'm here talking about serial killers, apparently. There's another guy. I have to do a whole video on this guy, Philip Jablonski. I can't even go into him right here at Diet. I have some things to say, though, about him. So, okay, how do I show this without any identifying information? Let's see. Okay, I can't really do that. Never mind. I'm going to show this in a different thing when I can cover stuff up. But he gave, okay, I think I have artwork I can show you. He sent me some of the most interesting artwork in that, like, of course, everyone's serial killer artwork. And I did get a lot from people when I was writing to them. But his artwork stood out to me because a lot of the serial killers were really good. Like, did great artwork. And then this guy would send me some stuff where it was like, I don't know, really not, I guess, that wonderful. But I don't really have an example because he would put it on the envelopes and it has like a name and address. And I couldn't really read his writing very well either. I don't even know what this is. He sent this at one point. I'm trying to read it right now. Philip Jablonski, San Quentin Death Row. Okay, that's what it says. It says Philip Jablonski, San Quentin Death Row, but I don't really know what it is. I am terrified to open it up. I'm like, what is it stuck together with? I really don't know. I should have thought about that before I touched it just now because it never really, like, it didn't stand out to me at the time. And now I'm thinking of it and I'm like, yeah. Okay, so what else? Anyone, another topic you want to talk about besides all the serial killers I wrote to? Feel free to jump in the comments. I am, like I said, just bored here hanging out. Oh, here's some really, really amazing artwork that I love. Let me see if I can show you. This one is so cool. I don't know. I just love it. And that was from, not a serial killer. That was from Eric Smith. He, when he was 12, killed another little boy. I believe he's still in jail. No. I believe he's actually been released now. Yeah, that's what it was. Because he is someone I followed since I was a kid. And the case, I saw the case when I was a child. And I was like, somehow really, really stuck with me. So I wrote to him. He wrote back, he's now out of jail. Here's another of his artwork. I don't know. He's just beautiful artwork. And he must have really honed that skill when he was in jail because he has been incarcerated since he was like 12 years old. Let's see. What else? What else? Yeah, I've, like, not everyone I wrote to were serial killers. Some were just people who have killed just one person. This guy was an interesting guy. Let's see. Ira Einhorn, he killed just one person, this girl. And if I remember right, he stuck her in like a suitcase thing, like a trunk, and her, like, just left her body there after he killed her. I think that was his girlfriend or someone he was dating at the time. Anyway, one of the things you can tell when you read his letters is he is highly intelligent in a weird way. Like, you can tell that he's very, very intelligent person. And I thought that was very interesting because some of the people you're like have doubts on the way they write, and this guy, you can just, when you read through his stuff, the way he writes it, the way he articulates things, you can tell he's very high intelligence. So I was always a little nervous writing to him because I was like, this guy is smart. If I say the wrong thing, he could pick up personal things about me, and I really didn't want to give too much information, obviously, about myself. So that was definitely a concern of mine when I was writing to him. Trying to go through this for anything else to talk about. I wrote to Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Sent him a letter, and he was one of those ones where everyone's like, he always writes back. So there's online communities where people will share like the addresses of how to reach serial killers. Like there's an online, basically a lot of people online looking for how to write to serial killers. So everybody on those communities says Richard Ramirez always writes back. So he was one of the first people I wrote to. I was like, that's great. At least somebody will write back, because I wasn't sure if anyone ever would. And when he did, I don't know if he ever actually got my letter, because about 3 weeks after I sent it, he died. So he never wrote back to me. I don't know if he even got my letter. I like to think my letter is what killed him, but obviously I seriously doubt that. I like to think that he would have written back had he not died when he did. But also I'm not, not really mourning a serial killer. It's just unfortunate that I really didn't get to talk to him, just because I think these people are often really interesting, and just the differences in the people I talk to fascinate me. Like there are some people who would talk about their crimes. There are some people who like loudly and frequently proclaimed their innocence, said I shouldn't be here. But and then there was people who didn't confirm or deny anything. They just didn't talk about it at all and just talked about normal things. Okay, so let's see. Are you currently in contact with any killers? How long have you been writing? So I wrote to them a long time ago. It was about going on like 9 or 10 years ago. I was writing to a ton of people. I mentioned a little bit earlier, I got overwhelmed with it because I wrote to so many people that they were writing back, and I was getting so many letters a week, and I was trying to respond in a timely manner. But some of these letters were pages and pages long, and I wanted to give a meaningful response and thought out response. And it was taking so much time that I got a little overwhelmed. And around the same time, I had some really tough personal stuff going on with my life, and I just stopped, and I never started again. I was using a P.O. box and I didn't renew it. So that's definitely something right there that I kind of regret stopping, but also it got overwhelming. Maybe if there was somebody that I really found interesting, I would write to again someday. I hesitate to say favorites, but I did have a favorite, and he has since died. So where is his stuff? If it's in, I don't know if it's in this binder, because I had a couple binders. Oh, I don't know if you can see. This binder is full. It's completely full of all the letters I got. And I know I had 2 at one point, just because I got so many letters and I wanted to save them all. I wanted to organize them all. Let me see if I can find him. If not, I'll just talk about it anyway. And then he would be in my other binder somewhere. This is something I kind of recently pulled back out and was going through a little. I didn't get to read through everything again, which I really want to at some point, because it was interesting, but a lot of these things I haven't really gone through in years. I just have like memories of something. I talked to Keith Jesperson a little bit earlier. Let's see, who else is this? No, that's Philip Jablonski. There's people that were just, I don't know, like almost really, really boring, like painfully boring to talk to. And like this guy, he would write very long letters, but it was a lot of like very religious stuff, and it was not really much of him. It was just really religious stuff. So it was talking about prophecies and testaments and God's word, and it fine, yeah, but Robert Yates. So he was one of the ones that, yeah, look him up if you want to see more about him. He was just, I'll show you this picture and who he killed. And this is going to be interesting because if you don't know him, this is the guy, Robert Yates. He killed a lot of people. Then, if you look, and I'm going to find some of his letter and I'm going to cover, yeah, a lot of these letters are from 2013, 2014. So let me cover stuff up. Sorry about that. So if you see, he has very neat writing, stuff like that, but I'll show you some of like the religious stuff that he would write. And that's basically all he would talk to me about. He never really talked about his crimes or any of the things he did. He wrote me pages and pages of quotes that he's collected, positive quotes for his collection. So I'll show you some of those. So these are just 2 of the pages of quotes. There was more. The previous page was also a page of quotes. And some are interesting. Taking the easy path will make... did it cut out? Okay, so anyway, let me know if that cut out. So I was trying to look up stuff on him, and I'm not sure if it kept going. Anyway, so he killed like 16 to 18 people. He's a very prolific serial killer. And arrested on my birthday. And then he said, let's see. He sent me this thing. I'm trying to read this thing. Oh, he just sent me something from a newspaper and said that his oldest sister lives in Deer Park, Washington. Just some random stuff. Just sent me this like little newspaper clipping. So anyway, that was one that was more, I would say, like dull to write to because I didn't know how to respond to it. For one, I'm not a particularly religious person. I am completely respectful of religion. I have an appreciation for things that religious organizations do at times, but I can't say that I'm a religious person or I know that much about Christianity. So personally. And so for me, I was kind of lost when reading his stuff a lot of times. And then he just read me pages and pages of quotes. So there was very little of himself that he put into anything. And let's see, I'm trying to see if I can find, I think that a lot of my quote unquote favorites were in my other binder, which I'll have to pull out. But yeah, I'm trying to think. There's some more lesser known people or people who've only killed one person only, I say. There's Bobby Joe Long. I am going to have to do a whole thing on him and his letters. That was just Bobby Joe Long. A very interesting man. And probably one of the reasons I stopped writing the serial killers because I just could not keep writing to this guy. It was just too much for me. Ugh. He was a real creep, like a real creeper. So this one That's going to get me into talking about my quote-unquote favorite. I got this from Lawrence Bittaker. He was part of a killing duo with Roy Norris, who was my favorite person to talk to. And I believe his stuff is in my other binder. I had a smaller binder of some of the ones that I liked better, just because he'd send me beautiful artwork. But anyway, I wrote to Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris. Lawrence Bittaker wrote back. He just said, I don't usually answer inquiries absent return postage, but since you at least offered, thank you for your inquiry, but I am not currently interested in additional correspondence. I hope you can put your education to good use and that all goes well for you. Again, thank you for your offer. And then he signed it. So he did write back. He did not sign it pliers, which is apparently how he would sign things. Ooh, that creeps me out so bad. But I'll talk about Roy Norris, even though I can't show his stuff right now. Roy Norris was just one of those people that seemed like the sweetest grandfatherly type of person. Like, really nice, very, like, the sweetest guy. That's all I can say. And obviously, I know he has done some horrible, horrible things. And if you wanted to, you could say it was Lawrence Bittaker's fault. But I know that he was just as much a participant in these things. But he was a ridiculously talented man that could have done a lot more with his life besides killing people and going to jail because, well, he told me he could make jewelry and that was something he really liked. But the art he sent me was amazing and I loved it and I looked forward to it. So I did love the art that he sent. And he had kind of a little bit of a wry, sardonic tone to his letters that I also enjoyed reading. This sounds really weird to say. I was a little sad when he died. Not sad because obviously he was a horrible person and did horrible things. But there was that little part of me that did care about him a little bit because of writing to him. And that's one of those things about me I can recognize is maybe not one of the good parts of me or something I feel really conflicted about because I never wanted to feel that way about a serial killer or expected to. Would never fall in love with one. Gross. Did not fall in love with him at all. It's just, I guess I got a little sense of him, who he was as a person outside of killing people. And I guess to me, not that he was a good person, but I think he had a potential to have done more with his life. He had a potential to have been a kind person. He had potential to have done great things with his life instead of doing bad things. And he picked the bad side. But talking to him and the letters that we wrote back and forth, I could see more of his humanity in him and what should and could have been there. But I feel like he threw that away by doing awful, horrible, cruel, sadistic things. So I guess when I say I'm conflicted, that's why. It's not that I care, but there was a part of me that was like, oh, he's dead now. And because he was one of the only people I ever thought about writing to again when I got overwhelmed and I stopped writing to people. So that's a lot of the serial killer letters I have now that I feel like going through. A lot of people, if I wanted to talk about them, I'd have to refamiliarize myself a little bit with their cases before I could do that because it's been so long. I don't remember enough details. And it's like, it's hard to talk about these people and talk about the things they wrote to me without really remembering the details of this case. So where I could, when I made like the little sheet for people, I'd put a picture of them, a picture of any of their victims, confirmed victims I could find, just because I wanted to connect them, I guess, with the image and separate them from each other. But my binder is so full that pages keep falling out. And whenever I flip through it, like the top opens up and flips out. So that's something I really need to go through again. And I eventually want to do some videos of some of these people that I wrote to, because I like to do true crime videos. And then if I go through and I edit the letters to remove any identifying information or personal information that I might have told them and then they wrote back about, then that's something that I could share the redacted version of. So I'm hoping to do that someday if anyone's ever interested. Anyway, is there anything anyone else wants to talk about? I'll talk about anything. News, music, movies, shows. I did see Megan in the theater. Anyone else see Megan? I was super happy to go. I was really excited about it and I loved it. I didn't think I would love it as much as I did, but it had a lot of humor to it and I love AI. A lot of people are scared of AI and rightfully so, but I absolutely love it. I think if AI ends up killing humanity, at least it'll be interesting. I see the potential there, but I don't want to stop experimenting with AI just because there's so much. Like, I want to find out if there can be sentient life, not life, but sentience that comes from artificial intelligence, if it can really ever have independent thoughts. So, obviously, AI is something that really fascinates me and something that I would love to see humanity do more with in the future. Although I know every movie about it is basically a dire warning not to. And all the scientists are saying, oh, yeah, robots could turn against us. AI is dangerous. And I could definitely see that. But I'm still curious. Mm, what else? I have a pygmy puff here from Harry Potter. Pygmy puff. Um, Also, this is one of my favorite things. It's a Yeti. It's a little Yeti plush. Isn't it cute? No. Somebody give me something to talk about. I've exhausted my serial killer topic for now. So, anybody, what else you got here? Mm. Got this little guy in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin when I went. It's the troll capital of the world. So, one of my little tchotchkes. Mm. Yeah, no, he won't stand back up. I need to get more ink soon. I am dying for a new tattoo. I feel like there's always a point in winter where I go so stir crazy that I need to like pierce something or tattoo something. So I feel like that's definitely going to happen here soon. Probably a new tattoo, although I've been thinking about putting more holes in my ears because I have a lot of my face pierced and I'm not sure I want to add anything more to my face right now. Maybe more eyebrow rings in the future. I don't know. What do you think? Anything else? I have thought about this before, but I've really decided against it because I wear glasses so often. That wouldn't be a possibility. I think it would just get irritated all the time. But if no one else has anything to talk about, I guess I will sign off for now. So bye. Thanks for hanging out with me on this super boring snow day.